Hi everyone, and welcome to the 10th lesson in our Macbeth GCSE revisions study guide series. I change the word of that intro every time. Anyway, if you haven't seen any of my videos before, what we're doing here is going through Macbeth. We're going through all the major characters, all the major themes, the context, model paragraphs and answers, basically everything that you need to be successful in your upcoming GCSE essay, which is, if you're in year 11 right now, it's coming up very, very soon. So if you haven't seen any of these videos before, what we've gone through so far, we've gone through all the major characters, really: Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Macduff, the witches, Malcolm. We've also gone through some of the key themes. So we've gone through good versus evil, ambition, violence, appearance versus reality. Today, we're going to go through the supernatural. We've also done some model answers and model paragraphs. We're going to do a few more of those. So if that seems like something that would be useful, please do stay tuned. But today we're going to be looking at the supernatural together, the supernatural. So thinking about the supernatural, there's lots of different ways that it is used in the play for different reasons. Typically, you're going to think about the witches as the main characters for supernatural, and that's totally fine. But there's a bit more to it, so I wanted to dive into some of the key quotes together today on that. And then we'll write one model paragraph, as usual, towards the end of the lesson. So one of the most obvious quotes for the supernatural, obviously right from the very beginning, and it's used throughout, is the idea that the stage directions have thunder and lightning, and the witches talk about thunder and lightning. Yeah. So one of the famous lines from Act 1, Scene 1, when shall we three meet again, in thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. So thunder, lightning, rain, it shows that the witches, first of all, are linked to negative weather patterns. So thunder and lightning is scary, dangerous, unpredictable, right? Like the witches. Maybe it also suggests that they're able to control the weather, because they're saying, you know, what weather should we have when we meet again? Should it be thunder? Should it be lightning? Should it be rain? If they have the ability to control the weather, that seems likely because, well, one of the other quotes we'll go through is that they manipulate the weather to kill someone. The husband of the woman who won't give chestnuts to the witch. It's all negative weather though, isn't it? They don't seem to be able to control the sunshine. They don't seem to be able to control the good weather, only the bad weather. So that links the supernatural to negative forces, evil, harm, straight away. And obviously, when you're talking about weather and atmosphere, a good technique to remember is pathetic fallacy. Act 1, Scene 1 as well. It says there to meet with Macbeth. So another thing that the supernatural seems to give the witches is an ability to predict the future. They seem to know that if they go to a certain place at a certain time, they will meet Macbeth. So it seems that they can predict the future. And we kind of get the sense that that must be true because they give the predictions to Macbeth or in Act 1, Scene 3. So we get the sense that they must know at least some of what's going to happen in the future. And obviously later on, they summon other, like, you know, ghosts or apparitions. And those apparitions give Macbeth even more information about his future, even though they're using like mystical language and paradoxes to confuse Macbeth about how it's going to look. But so the supernatural, they can control the weather. They seem to be able to see into the future. Those are a couple of quotes that help you with that. Thunder, lightning, or in rain, there to meet with Macbeth. Act 2, Scene 1, you've got the dagger. Is that a dagger which I see before me, handled towards my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. So the witches arguably are the reason why Macbeth sees the dagger. Now, this is a really interesting one to do if you get an essay on the supernatural, because you can talk about, was it the witches that showed him the dagger, or was it his own psyche, his own psychology, right? There's not a clear answer to that. It could be that he's so overcome with evil thoughts and desires in himself that he hallucinates the dagger, because the dagger clearly symbolizes him killing Duncan. But you could definitely make an argument that it is the witches that show him the dagger in a way to like encourage him to do these evil things. So you have to make a decision, whichever one you think, but definitely there is this sense here of the dagger symbolizing supernatural, possibly hallucinations being used to manipulate characters. So that's a good thing to talk about, think about. In Act 1, Scene 3, we've got a couple of big quotes from Act 1, Scene 3. We've got evil activities and evil thoughts. So evil activities, the first witch talks about how she stalks the husband of the woman who won't give her chestnuts, right? And it turns out he's the captain or the master of a ship called the Tiger. She sails to him in a sieve, a sieve literally like a strainer type thing. It's like this strange imagery of supernatural. And when she gets to see him, she drains him of sleep. She doesn't allow him to sleep for 81 weeks, 7 nights, 9 times 9, 81 weeks. She doesn't allow him to sleep. Now, there's another obvious quote that this links to that I'm a bit annoyed with myself that I didn't put in, which is Macbeth hath murdered sleep. So you get the sense that potentially one of the ways that the witches manipulate their victims is by stopping them from sleeping. And then later on, obviously in Act 5 with Scene 1 with Lady Macbeth, perhaps one of the reasons she's hallucinating the dagger and stuff is because maybe she can't sleep either now. So again, you get this question of, is it the witches that are manipulating the sleep and stopping people from sleeping, or is it more of their own guilt and their own psyche, their own psychology that is, they're so guilty they can't sleep? But the fact that the supernatural is here and that she stops the husband from sleeping for 81 weeks, I think that does lean towards the idea Shakespeare is suggesting that as part of their supernatural powers, they stop people from sleeping. Then we've got evil thoughts as well. So this is not really directly the witches, but this is sort of the supernatural or the evil within humans. So Macbeth says, present fears are less than horrible imaginings. My thought, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man, that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. So he's clearly having evil thoughts here because of what the witches told him and their predictions. You get the sibilance in here, shakes single state, smothered surmise is but what is not. So S is all over the place. So it suggests that the witches have an ability to either literally change the thoughts of Macbeth, or perhaps it's more that their evil influence then changes the thoughts of people. So I think it's probably more that one, that the fact that they tempt humanity, they tempt Macbeth, I think is the issue more than anything else. So there we have that one. Act 2, Scene 3, another way that the supernatural is used is to disrupt. It's a huge disruptor. You could link this to the chain of being. So the night has been unruly. Where we lay, our chimneys were blown down, and as they say, lamentings heard in the air, strange streams of death, prophesying with accents terrible of dire combustion and confused events, new hatched to the woeful time. The obscure bird clamored the livelong night. Some say the earth was feverish and did shake. Wow. So you've got all this disruption. Oh, me. Oh, man. I need to get more sleep, don't I, people? Anyway, so Act 2, Scene 3. So this is directly after Macbeth and Lady Macbeth have killed Duncan. So this is the broken chain of being. And the idea that the supernatural is able to just disrupt and create chaos everywhere, right? So the winds were howling and chimneys were blown down. There were these strange like noises, possibly from spirits, ghosts, screams of death in the sky. There's all this burning of the combustion of different things, like all this fire seemed to break out in different places. Birds that normally are nocturnal and sleep through the night were, screaming and hawking all night, making loads of noise. And the earth itself seemed to maybe tremble like an earthquake or something like that. So this just goes to show the deep power that the supernatural does have. The fact that they're able to do this is quite incredible, really. Then we've got Banquo's ghost. So this is another sort of disruption of nature. But this could be, oh man, this could be more the positive side of the supernatural as well, right? So Banquo's ghost doing this could be a positive thing really for the supernatural. You've got the apparitions, beware Macduff, be bold, bloody bold and resolute, none of woman born shall harm you, and be lion mettled. So these apparitions trick Macbeth, but they also at the same time are spurring him on. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. They talk about how they tell Macbeth the predictions, but each of them says something to make him do something later. So be bold, be lion mettled. They're encouraging him into evil as well. Yeah. So the supernatural not only confuses Macbeth, but also encourages Macbeth to do more evil. Obviously, Lady Macbeth hallucinates. She says, "Out damned spot." I think that's really important as well. It shows that even this character who has been so strong in doing everything by the end is being caused lots of problems mentally. So we're going to do a paragraph like normally. How is the supernatural presented in the play? Yeah, we're going to dive into that now together. So we've got lots of different ideas. As I said, we've got, supernatural as a confusion, supernatural as a chaos, supernatural as a disruption, supernatural creating evil thoughts, supernatural creating evil activities, supernatural creating hallucination, supernatural being used to control. I think overall I'm going to talk about control. I think that's kind of one of the most creepy things about the supernatural. One of the most disturbing elements of the supernatural in Macbeth is the power with which the witches can use it to manipulate and control. We see this immediately in Act 1, Scene 1, when the witches state in thunder, lightning, or in rain. In this quote, the interrogative emphasizes the fact that the witches can decide what type of weather they have when Macbeth enters, or when they meet Macbeth. Interestingly, they can only seem to create bad weather and not good. This does suggest a limit to their power. However, this control can also be extended over humans, such as the captain whom they stop from sleeping. And then the quote for that one is, "Worry 7 nights, 9 times 9, shall he dwindle, peak and pine." As the, need to take that stop out. As the use of 9 times 9 shows that the witches have stopped this man from sleeping for 81 weeks. And the rhyme in the quotation suggests the joy that the witches get from making him suffer and die. And then I'm just going to add another quote here because I like it. Here I have a pilot's thumb. Wrecked as homeward he did come. So they actually keep the thumb of the pilot as a souvenir as well. So here's all about control of the supernatural. As the reader, or sorry, as a Jacobean audience, we would believe that supernatural creatures truly did have this level of control over us. This also links to James I, king at the time, since he wrote a book called Demonology, which went through the various types of spirits that he believed truly existed. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to leave it there for the paragraph. But again, as always, we do that sequence, right? We come up with a point about how the thing we're being asked to talk about is presented in a certain way. So in this case, the supernatural is being used to manipulate and control. We then go into some quotes which prove it, and we analyze those quotes. And then we finish off with some audience or reader response, and then into a little bit of context. Okay, so that is a model paragraph as I churn out every week for your viewing pleasure. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, do please leave them down below and I will get back to you. But you know, good luck with your upcoming exams, year 11s. I know you're about to start doing English language, a lot of you, so I hope that all goes well. Please do check out my English language videos before you sit those exams. Hopefully there'll be something good in there, and I will see you in the next one.